Guys, they have supposed leaks for Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. Yeah, Avengers Doomsday is actually coming out next year. Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy. You'll think that Avengers Doomsday is like some far off movie because they didn't talk about like filming or anything. They're still talking about like casting and stuff. And this movie's supposedly out. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if these movies get delayed as well, considering that we almost don't know nothing about these movies. Doctor Doom wants to stop the incursions and save the multiverse. He's angry at who remains for silencing his universe as well as other universes and timeline that correspond to the sacred timeline, and wants freedom above and many heroes join Doom's side and see him as the savior and compromise the morals and save the world, excluding variants of Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff. Doom will be the protagonist of Doomsday, with major roles for Spider-Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel, Hulk, Wong, Fantastic Four, and a handful of mutants. And other characters that include, these are like the minor characters. The characters that nobody cares about. These are the B class. Well, the Thunderbolts, Miss Marvel, Falcon, the side men, basically. Okay. I know most of these characters are probably out. I think half of these characters are women, but the side characters, the Robins of the world, okay, they are also gonna be in the movie, but they're not gonna be the main characters. The main characters are gonna be the characters we talked about before. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, probably Deadpool, Wolverine, Hawk, and a few more. Loki will be the McGuffin for Doomsday with several factions trying to reach him first. The Avengers are split into several small groups of role for assemble until Avengers Secret Wars. Doomsday sees Captain Marvel study Miss Marvel's quantum bands in order to open a portal to rescue Monica. Otherworldly, they could destroy both universes. Monica will be a key role. Similar, yeah. Apparently, yeah, we saw that on X. I saw that. The big role who he remains is deliberately removed the Fantastic Four and the mutants in the sacred timeline and end of Secret Wars. The Rio 616 is restored. We need to restart reboots and integrates the Fantastic Four and X-Men into the MCU continuity, as well as recasting some of the characters by some of the unpopular storylines. Well, guess what? A lot of the unpopular storylines are going to be retconned. Who would have thought here? And yeah, I don't know if anyone's really too excited for these new Avengers movies. The thing though, what made the original Avengers movies work, the first four of them, as you had build up to these movies. Okay, the reason the MCU was so successful until the 2020s was the fact that most of the MCU kind of built upon each other. Okay, every movie mattered, even Captain Marvel. Okay, every movie mattered and was important to the timeline. Okay, the only reason why Captain Marvel made so much money was because of Avengers Endgame. The only reason why Black Panther likely made so much money because he was teased because Wakanda was supposed to play a major role into Infinity War. Okay, that's the main reason why those movies made so much money, and the MCU was very successful. Okay, because the Marvel characters they made these characters better. I think the power of the modern MCU is it's a lot of these characters. If you don't have Disney Plus, you will not know all these characters. That's why a lot of these movies I do think have done way worse. Also, a lot of these new characters are kind of like these side characters, the lesser known or lesser popular characters that people really don't care about. The difference with the Guardians of the Galaxy and like Miss Marvel, America Chavez, and all these newer characters is the Marvel fan base was not really created when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, so they could actually make these characters actually stand out and popular. And also, it didn't help. Actually, it did. It did help that James Gunn did a very good job at establishing the Guardians of the Galaxy. Most of these newer Marvel characters, they just exist. Like they just, oh, here's this character, but what's our show? I think the worst example of this, I think, is the Marvels. Okay. Oh, the Marvels is coming out. Everybody knew the movie. Oh, no one will go see it because there was no interest in it. Because if you want to watch the Marvels, I'm just using that for example, you had to watch the Miss Marvel show, which I don't think anyone watched. Okay, you had to watch, I think, WandaVision 2, and of course you had to watch all the no one has time to watch all these TV shows. Okay, that's the main problem of the modern MCU. No one has time to watch all these TV shows, especially if you're new to the Marvel movies. You have to watch all of the first phase and second and third phase, but fourth and fifth phase, it's just a lot of these characters, they, like the write, also something about the fact that the writing quality has definitely dropped off in the newer Marvel movies. Deadpool and Wolverine and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, I think are the two biggest examples of this. Also, Echo and I heard as Echo is another one with terrible, terrible writing, you know. And also there was Agatha, which also had terrible writing. I think the worst example for writing in Marvel is, of course, the Marvels. Again, I haven't watched the Marvels, so I'm just using the Ant-Man and Deadpool and Wolverine as examples. But it just seems that the writing in the newer Marvel movies have kind of fallen off as well. And it's just, Black Widow is another example of this, Shang-Chi, and a lot of these newer Marvel movies, with the exception of things No Way Home and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a lot of the writing for the newer Marvel movies are just not that good. And another way back example is Thor and Thunder, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and it's just the writing has definitely fallen off. You have characters that people really don't care for, that are not really that well known or popular, or people really have an attachment to, okay? You know, if you want to introduce new characters, you have to introduce them properly. Again, when it comes to characters like America Chavez and Miss Marvel, you're always going to have uphill resistance from the fandom menace, because for some strange reason they hate those characters. There's, even though I do think if they had competent writers, they could actually be good characters. Like any character can be a good character of competent writers, but the modern MCU, they hired all these terrible writers. Like like Doctor Strange, they literally hired a writer with no experience whatsoever, and that's because they were a woman, and it really showed how bad Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is. It's just that the multitude of examples of just how badly the Marvel movies have been written over the past 5 years. It's just like they just don't care anymore. Okay, again, Marvel used to be one of the highest grossing, is still the highest grossing movie franchise of all time, but it just seems that each passing year, the MCU gets less and less special as time goes on. Like, people got upset at me as said I wasn't excited for the Fantastic Four movie, because I'm not falling for the same trick with Deadpool and Wolverine and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, being hyped for a movie that I'll ultimately be disappointed in. And that's just the problem of the modern MCU overall. And yeah, that's my mini rant about the modern MCU. I could do a whole rant video about that modern MCU overall and how bad Marvel has gotten, how poorly written the characters are as well. And of course, the uphill battle that these newer characters had to face because of the fandom menace. I'm most specifically talking about Miss Marvel and America Chavez, because if they want it, we do need new characters in Marvel. We can't just rely on the same characters forever and ever. That's just not how it works. Unless you want to introduce multiple timelines, and that's the use excuse. Oh, this is Captain America from timeline 84. Yeah. But I do think it is necessary for any series as long running as Marvel to have new characters every once in a while to change the faces they have in Marvel. But the problem is, I do think the problem with Marvel and West of DC is that people are so attached to the already very popular characters. We're talking about Deadpool, Wolverine, the main Avengers cast, let's extend Black Panther, and and also the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I do think the problem if the MCU is that there are some pretty toxic fans in the MCU. Like, people hate on Miss Marvel for no reason. Like, they literally have no reason to hate the character. But they literally got upset they put Miss Marvel in the comics. Like, again, no one reads comics anymore because guess what? Comics are just not popular anymore. But again, most of the people who bought the comics were these people anyways. People who, again, comics are also very, very expensive. So, of course, people look for alternatives to comics because they think manga is cheaper than comics, which is why people were starting buying manga instead. Also, manga is popular amongst weebs, too, as well. But the problem is, with the Marvel series and Marvel as a whole, is that, I do know, like, the writing as well went downhill in the comics before the, movies as well. But again, if the movie still had competent writers, all these newer characters could have worked. Okay? All of these characters that were often criticized by the fandom menace, they could have easily made these characters work. But the problem is, even if these characters did work, and, they did have competent writers, I think the problem is these people would have made these mass boycotts of the newer movies because they don't like the new characters. It is quite ironic that some of these channels hate Miss Marvel so much, but they love One Piece. When before One Piece gets like his fruit powers, One Piece and Miss Marvel really have the same exact fucking powers. Yeah, Luffy and Miss Marvel literally have the same stretchy arms, legs ability. Literally have the same exact powers. Oh, but one character is bad because reasons, and one character is good because reasons. And I do think we already made this video about a long time ago about the over hatred of Miss Marvel. Like, I do think it is kind of ridiculous they do keep trying to throw her into everything, like make her a main character. Like she's like it's kind of like making Robin the main character instead of Batman. You never make a Batman comic with Robin the main character. Just keep her a side character. I think people would have been happy. But I think the main reason why people don't like Miss Marvel because they keep trying to make her like the main character, like one of the main characters. And I just don't think people really are a fan of that. It's kind of like making Robin the main character. It's kind of like making Robin like one of the main characters of the Justice League. It just does not work. And yeah, making Robin it's like if they made Robin the main character of Batman instead of Batman for some reason. I do think I think if they really want to make a character like that work, they sort of tried to establish the character first. But again, the problem is they did, and no one wants to sell because no one cared, because Disney Plus is a pile of shit. That's the main reason. Okay, none of the Disney Plus shows, besides maybe WandaVision, were successful to begin with. I think maybe I remember Loki was successful too, but that was mostly because people wanted to see Loki as well. But again, a lot of the main problems with I think modern Marvel really started with one movie, and no, it's not Miss Marvel. It's Captain Marvel. It's Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. It always goes back to that movie. I do think Marvel started to go downhill since Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. And we're, of course, not counting Avengers Endgame, obviously, because that was supposed to be a back-to-back movie with Avengers Infinity War. So, yeah. Other than that, yeah, that's about my whole rant about Marvel. And, of course, the leaks about Marvel, the new Marvel movies, obviously, as well. Goodbye.